Mike. Welcome, everybody, to the Let's Go Crunch podcast. Here, part of the Land Media Group. I am Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is Gary Fair. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy to be celebrating a Crunch win. One of the only Cleveland teams to win this weekend. So I'm having a great weekend here celebrating the Crunch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to have a winner in town, and the Crunch are continually doing that. And we've got one of those winners coming on the show with us tonight. This is going to be a big one after a nice win in opening night. And joining us here will be last night's starting goalkeeper for the Crunch, Liam Mcintosh. So we are happy to have him along. Liam, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we're not keeping you up too late here tonight. No curfew, right?
No curfew. Oh, sorry. No curfew. Sorry, we got back at like 3 a.m. last night, so a little tired from there. but
it was off of a win, so that's
it was off a win. Yeah, so that's good.
Absolutely. It was opening night for the Crunch, and you were playing. Technically, it's Lansing. We were just discussing this. Red Cedar FC, and it was a decisive victory, 17-6 over Red Cedar FC. It was by halftime. It was 10-1, and it was 7-0 before Red Cedar got on the board. Liam, as the goalkeeper, when you have a game such as that, where your team is out to such a decisive advantage, how do you stay focused in those moments?
With indoor, it's very different from outdoor. If you're in outdoor, if you're up by 7 goals, it's clearly it's very hard to lose that game. But with indoor, because it's so fast paced and you could score in, I've seen we've scored in 3 or 4 seconds off the start. So I mean, come back and be started at any moment. And if a team gets hot, they could score a lot of goals in a short period of time. So it's easier to stay in the game in that moment. And just as a goalkeeper, there's so much more you have to do with indoor than in outdoor. So it's pretty easy to stay in the game the entire game.
Yeah, I imagine it's a vast difference from the indoor game to the outdoor game. Now, you're a native of Menor, and you went to John Carroll University, and you played under former Cleveland Crunch legend Hector Marinero. I've got a Hector jersey behind me here, and you've got a lot. I mean, there's a rich soccer history in Northeast Ohio. Kind of, how did you get into soccer and end up at John Carroll and playing indoor soccer, etc.?
Oh, Hector's gonna love the John Carroll story. But yeah, so my parents they didn't want me to play football or anything like that. So they had me try different sports. I did triathlons, soccer, baseball, basketball. Swimming. I did a whole bunch of sports, and then ultimately I got thrown in goal because I don't know if you know this, but I'm the shortest guy in my family, but I'm 6'3". So my dad, if you go to the games, you'll see him taking pictures on the sideline. He's the 6'10" guy. So a lot of coaches see that and they're like, oh, he's going to be tall. He'll be a good goalkeeper. So I was kind of thrown into that position, and I actually ended up liking it. So that kind of got me into being a goalkeeper in soccer. And how I ended up at John Carroll, Hector actually called me while I was a senior and still was uncommitted at that time. And he had called me and asked me about coming out to John Carroll. I actually didn't know who he was at the time. So I actually said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not really interested. And then my mom heard that, saw me go into a different room and talk to someone on the phone, asked who it was. I'm like, oh, it's I think it was Hector Marinero or somebody, the coach at John Carroll. And then she freaked out. She was like, no, talk to call him back, talk to him, blah blah blah. So I ended up calling him back and going over to John Carroll, liked the school and saw the team was in a good spot and stuff like that. So ended up going there, and that's how I ended up over at John Carroll.
That's an amazing story. And were you familiar also with Rob Marinero? I mean, I know he played goalie in indoor soccer. Was he around at all at any time, or did you ever have a chance to chat with him or check him out? He played goalie at Clemson.
No, I did not.
Didn't have an opportunity. That's all right. He's down at Kent State, coaching the women's team, doing a fantastic job there. Been there forever. He's the man. And I guess what was your experience or your knowledge of? You said you really didn't know who Hector Marinero was. Were you familiar with the indoor soccer scene?
Not really, and it was kind of funny because I also went when I was younger, I would go to some goalkeeper camps. I actually went to the Otto Orff goalkeeper camp, so I was going to this goalkeeper camps. Still didn't know nothing was clicking with the crunch and blah blah blah, everything with him. And then my brother actually was played for his club team, and apparently Otto actually grew up where my dad grew up, so they kind of knew each other also. So I actually had some ties before Hector to the crunch through Otto. Didn't really know that, but I had some ties. And my parents actually do have a small soccer ball with a bunch of the old crunch team signatures on it still at their house. So they knew about the crunch, but kind of forgot about soccer and
so
they didn't really, they weren't too big into soccer until I got really into soccer. And then they're okay, I guess we'll get into soccer, and tied it all back.
So with not really having a background as far as, being a fan of the crunch, when the crunch were here and those sorts of things. Now that you're here and you're the goalkeeper for the crunch, right? And your college coach is the Cleveland Crunch legend here for the crunch. How surreal is it for you to be kind of the one that is, I mean, you're the reason why, it was 17-6 yesterday. I mean, you had, you blocked 30 goals yesterday. They had 30 shots on goal yesterday that you blocked. You were, you're the ones you're one of the ones keeping us in the win column. How, so do you have any sort of a surreal feeling or for that connection that you have there with, Hector, and now you're here kind of leading the team that he was the legend for?
It's pretty cool to see, it's a full circle kind of, he kind of brought me to John Carroll. He actually got me kind of into indoor, in the off seasons through John Carroll, playing for some different teams, into some side leagues. So he kind of got me introduced to indoor a little bit before the crunch, with a higher level, besides playing with kids and indoor, that's a little bit different than with adults and actually competitive leagues. So it's been cool to kind of bring it full circle and be with the crunch from the beginning since the comeback, and then kind of grow up to where it is now, and hopefully in the future where we could take it and continue to grow, which is the end goal, and try and make it as big as it once was, and give a team so younger kids can grow up, because I think they ended before I kind of was around to witness it. So that would have been awesome to see as a young kid. So hopefully we can continue to grow and keep this thing going.
How do you ever? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I'm sorry. Do you ever get a chance to watch some of the old videos, that are on YouTube of some of the old games at the Wolstein Center, and then before that at the Richfield Coliseum?
I've seen some clips, but I haven't sat down and watched a full game or anything like that. I've seen just some highlights here and there. I've seen a lot of highlights of Hector scoring. Those always seem to be what's shown. So
yeah,
it's always cool to see those highlights.
Yeah, it's cool, man. If you're ever bored on there, there's a clip in there. It's not the Wolstein, it's the Richfield Coliseum, but it's from the 84-85 playoffs, and there's 23,000 people at a Force game.
That would be awesome to have at a game.
That man, they must have had to call the fire marshal with that capacity at 2562. They squeezed 23,000 in there.
23,000.
Are you serious? Shoot, man. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Liam, there's a lot of stuff building in the Cleveland area for soccer. You've got the Cleveland Pro Soccer Group working with the MLS next and the Women's Pro, the WPSL. I hope I'm getting the acronym correct. The Women's Premier League Soccer, maybe WPLS. Just how exciting is it you're really there as part of the building block for soccer and a rebirth kind of in downtown Cleveland?
No, it's definitely exciting because I know it's been in the works for a long time. Because I know a couple years ago, like it was like, oh, like teams are coming, blah blah blah, and I was all excited to possibly try out like play and stuff like that. But I was like, okay, I can't really. It's but no, it's definitely exciting because it's a great sport and it seems to be growing. And if we can grow it in Cleveland because there's a lot of talent in Cleveland. And you've seen it with Cleveland SC, Cleveland Crunch, obviously, and if we can continue to grow in different teams and build a professional atmosphere here, it could do really well, I think. So,
yeah. What'd you think of the World Cup draw?
I actually haven't paid attention to the draw because I know the games are coming up, so I kind of just show up to watch the games. I got too much going on outside.
Oh my God! Yeah, don't worry. As they were doing the draw on Friday, I think it was taking forever and a day, and most people probably took a nap during it. I was trying to allegedly work, but anyway. So last year, the team played the playoffs at the Wolstein Center. It didn't end the way we all wanted it to. Kind of how much hungrier is the team this season, and how do you feel about? As Gary mentioned, playing at the Wolstein Center and the nostalgia, how does it feel being back there as your home field?
I am so happy that we got this as our home field. I actually got hurt in like the second to last week of practice, like right before the playoffs last year. So I was out because it wasn't been like smart trying to play through it. And, you have some healthy goalkeepers, so that it's just not worth the risk and stuff like that. And, potentially hurt the team. So I'm super excited that we get to play here again and, potentially get to play inside the Wolfstein in front of the home fans. So I'm super excited that we get to play there again.
And I was going to say, just by comparison, I mean, playing in the Wolfstein Center is really, really kind of special. I mean, you're coming from playing in North Olmsted at the soccer complex there, sports complex, and now you've got this nice big arena to play in. Just what's the atmosphere like? What are you expecting? I know the first home game isn't until January the 10th, and I know that there are still tickets on sale, single game tickets for sale. But what are you looking forward to with that?
Just when you're in an arena like that, besides you can fit more people in and you create better atmosphere there, but it also, as a player, you can actually interact more with the fans there. So like I always try to toss some soccer balls to some kids and play catch with kids because that's fun, right? So being able to do stuff, interact with fans more. Being that soccer sports place, we have a net all the way around, so it kind of limits what you can actually do. But you have people all over the place. You have you're gonna have McCain doing flips off the wall. I think last year we had Pibu, he scored a goal and jumped over the boards, ran over to people to celebrate. So you could just do so much more with an arena and just the open concept of it. So definitely more excited to be able to interact with the fans there.
That is fantastic. I guess what are kind of some of your highlights of your? I mean, you've been around for this is your sixth season, right?
Yep, this is gonna be six.
What's some of your greatest moments, or if you could name like a top one, a two, or a three top moments of your career thus far?
I mean, any time that just make a great save, that's something that should have been a goal, but you somehow just pull out a magical save. That's That's always great. I think probably the away game in Toronto last year, it was kind of back and forth throughout the game a little bit, and then at the end, they were up, 3 goals with a couple minutes left, and then pull a six attacker, we start scoring some goals, then a sixth foul gets called to get a shootout, and then was able to stop them, hold it, force it to OT, and then Omar came up with the game-winning goal. I mean, that was just a great road win, just through a battle. And because I think the previous game we played them at home, and it was kind of like the reverse, where we were up a couple of goals, and then they came back, forced OT, and then they scored. So I mean, that was just a great road win and be able to bounce back from that previous loss to them. So.
Right. Do you study do you get into the psychology of a shootout, of a shootout there, a penalty shot? How do you manage that?
I mean, just the amount of repetitions that you take in practice, you kind of, it's basically just another breakaway. And if you've faced, 1,000 breakaways, you kind of are familiar with, when someone's getting ready to shoot it versus when they're going to try and dribble you, and you got to stay on your feet and kind of go with them, and it kind of delays. So it just, the more repetitions you take of a rep or something, you're just going to be more comfortable with it. So I've taken so many, it just kind of, you don't really think about it. You kind of just do.
Harder to stop a PK in outdoor soccer or a shootout in indoor soccer?
PK in outdoor for sure.
That's some crazy stuff there. Talk to us, if you might, last night's game. I mean, Admir Suljovic was back in the lineup. I missed him in the playoffs, but 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. Michael Derizic, 3 goals, 2 assists. I mean, it was just an offensive display. Sometimes, I know you're obviously, you have to be on ready all the time, but do you just watch those guys and they kind of amaze you as a kind of a show for yourself back there?
It really is. Sometimes, like in the second half, they were doing some like little dink at like just 1-2s and like right in front of the goal, and just like sometimes they squeeze the ball into such tight spaces and they just make it work. It just kind of, from at practice, it sucks because they're usually doing it against the goalkeeper. So it sucks from there, but in a game, it's like, how do you guys do this? Sometimes it's awesome to see, though.
It really is. It really is amazing. I think that it's hard to appreciate just watching it on TV or video, heck, even in person, how good of an athlete all of you really are and the skills that you all possess out there. What unique challenges do you think you guys are going to face this season in terms of potential opponents around the league? I know this weekend, Salt Lake City and Dallas and Las Vegas and Orlando were battling. They did a whole weekend series. Salt Lake with a 16-5 win of their own yesterday. Orlando won 8-5 yesterday. Today, Salt Lake City with another win over Dallas, 12-6, and Vegas split the weekend with Orlando with a 5-4 overtime win. But just some of the opponents and what you're thinking about what you're going to be facing this season and some big challenges.
I mean, with the playoff format and how, I think there's only 4 teams go. I try not to think about, what's happening in the other conference and try and focus on, just the next game, just because every game, you're going to have a different, potential lineup with who's able to go. Because again, everyone's got jobs, everyone's got, families. So it's every week is going to be a different lineup potentially. Same thing with, the opponent. Maybe, they come out, doing really well this game. So you just kind of have to take it one game at a time and make sure that you don't drop points with a loss or anything, and then you get knocked out of the, that playoff, spot. So it's really just got to focus on one game at a time. So next game is, Fort Wayne. So that's what we're focusing on. We're not worried about, any of these other teams. It's one game at a time.
Right. I'm sure that you guys will be good and ready for that. How do you stay focused with all the holiday stuff? You talked about people having jobs and families. How do you stay focused with all of that going on around you and being in the moment? or in preparation, etc.?
I actually it's kind of easy for me. Back in COVID, I went out and bought a bunch of gym equipment, so I have a home gym. So last week we were off. We didn't have any practices, but I was able to work out. I do coaching also, so I was able to go and train there. So people will go and find ways to go and continue to be able to get that extra work in. So then when it's time for us to come and play, we're still able to go and produce. So it's all about finding time and management.
Right. Who's your best friend on the team? Put you on the spot. Who's your best friend?
It'd probably be Connor Robinson, just because we're both goalkeepers. We went to John Carroll together. I've known him for such a long time. It's probably got to be him.
Okay, that's fair. We won't tell anybody else. Okay, we won't tell Scott.
It's live, so I mean it's already out there. So.
Well, these are all in fun, and I hope you don't mind the questions there. Do you have a favorite city that you travel to play in, per se?
Hopefully it's going to be Vegas. Hopefully, but favorite place to travel to. I'm trying to think of which place has the best. Probably Chicago. I like their atmosphere there. They also serve us they give us tacos every time afterwards. So that they got some good food there also. So pretty excited about Chicago.
No deep dish pizza?
No, tacos.
Tacos. So it seems like that's a bit a bit odd or not exactly what you might expect there. Yeah, I'm just trying to think here. This is just fantastic. I know that everybody is pumped up about the Crunch being back downtown, and you have this great opportunity to be in front of the larger audience at the Wolstein Center this season. And so I just kind of, as you're experiencing all this, what do you? I don't even know. What are your goals for the season? If you had to set a personal goal for the season, what would it be?
Personal goal would be playing, but that's something between me and Mario. We gotta. No, I mean the goal is always going to be winning that championship. So it doesn't matter who's on the field. It's doing whatever it takes to make sure that we're winning and able to continue to grow. Because again, right, we're playing for ourselves, we're playing for Cleveland, but it's also the main goal is keep this thing going. So because it's awesome to see kids who you go and train, or maybe you don't know, but like they keep coming back because they love the game. I still have memories when I was a kid going to was it the Lake Erie Captains? I think they are for
there's the Lake County Captains, the SpongeBob team, and then there's also the Lake Erie, or maybe they changed it. It was the Lake Erie Crushers or the Avon Lake Crushers, but they're Lake County Captains might be.
I'm thinking of the Captains. Yeah, I haven't been to the east side too much, but I have memories of that though. So being able to provide a good atmosphere, with through soccer for younger generations to experience that and have those memories, and then something for them to shoot forwards, to being able to do something with soccer after when they're older and stuff like that. So that's basically the end goal.
Right, and you mentioned you're doing some coaching. Yes, is that what that you mentioned that?
Yeah, I coach over at a goalkeeper academy over in down in Hudson.
Okay. I may have asked this, and so I apologize if I'm doubling back, but is there a goalkeeper legend? Are we talking, who do you look at in the world of soccer that you're like, that dude, that's the guy?
My favorite goalkeeper was Manuel Neuer. He still is, just because I felt like he kind of revolutionized it with like the kind of like playing a sweeper keeper. So I mean that's kind of who I modeled like my game after. Got kind of pissed off Hector a little bit. Some close calls there my freshman year before he kind of, but that's kind of who I kind of modeled my game after.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. Oh boy, wow. I mean, this has been just fantastic, Gary. Wanted to let you chime in. I have been totally monopolizing things here. And Gary wanted to let you have an opportunity to pose any questions, thoughts here for Liam. Okay. Gary, are you there?
Hey there, sorry, I was having troubles with the internet. No, man, you're good.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to let you, I know you had some thoughts, kind of interject questions here that I might have missed with Liam.
No, we're good, man. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. So I guess, Liam, obviously the sports scene in Cleveland is big, but there's room. There's definitely room for winners. And I mean, what efforts? I know Ryan goes to great lengths and extents to get you out in the community. What is the response like out there, and how do you continue to build that?
I mean, just any time where you can go and get out into the community efforts to just interact with people, and the main thing that people kind of look for is something that they can bring their kids to. So if we could go out to community events and provide that, it's always huge, because if you go out into the community and do any sort of efforts, you're going to get some sort of response back. So in the past, we've been able to go. I think Giant Eagle, they go to do like a Halloween event every year at a Giant Eagle. I think in Strongsville, I want to say. But you'll see in like pictures just huge lines of people there just to go and meet some of the players. And we do the crunch camps over the summer and stuff like that, which is always fun. So just anytime that you just do anything just to kind of help out, it's just awesome.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that you guys, obviously, between Ryan and all the events that you are doing as part of the Crunch, continuing to build within the community, and it is a great time for the whole family. I'm sure that you are looking forward to the home slate starting in January. Got one more game in between now and then, right?
Yep.
So that's in Fort Wayne, and then you'll enjoy the holidays. Any big plans for the holidays?
No, I think every year we go to my family's house and then my wife's family's. So we'll just a little bit of traveling here and there, but Meadow's not too far from me. So,
well, that is good. That is definitely good. Well, Liam, I really want to thank you for being on with us this evening. This has been an absolute pleasure, and wish you the best of luck on the rest of the season, and hope that you guys can bring home another title to Cleveland.
well, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. So, Liam Mcintosh, thank you very much for being on with us here. I am going to flip it back here. I don't know if Gary is available to pop on, and he is not. So we are going to continue on. Liam, again, thank you so much for being on, and that is going to do it here for the Let's Go Crunch podcast, part of the Land Media Group. Thank you.